एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयम् लिख्यते हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा चिन्वता मुज्यता आत्मनिष्ठो भवतु देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्धा कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वदभिये दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मनो सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं Namo Ramana. With Bhagavan's immense grace, we continue to meditate on the verses of Anma bodham, Atma bodha. We are mainly relying on the Tamil translation of the Atma bodha by Bhagavan. We are in the Nididhyasana verses. We have to go through verses 35 onwards. As this is the Nididhyasana segment, the place where Shravana, Manana are completed, you have, or the sadhaka has formed up the Shraddha. The faith has been formed up that this is the path I am going to take. As Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnana. according to one's faith, does one gain jnana. It is Sri Krishna Janmashtami today, and it is quite appropriate that we are learning and practicing Atma bodha, Atma vichara, as Sri Krishna himself identifies with the self. Before we get into the Nididhyasana verses, where one goes into the Shravana, Manana phases having been completed, the faith in the path taken being firmed up, that one is now going to live by what one has learned. In the phases of living by what one has learned in the world, there the living by involves certain things that can be seen, that can be observed. Am I speaking the truth? It will be clear to myself as to what is factual to me. Am I speaking or not? Am I acting ethically? I will be able to see whether the rules which I have framed for myself in ethics, I am able to carry out. Am I living a surrendered life? Am I practicing partial surrender at least as much as possible? Can be verified as to how many situations have come wherein I have remembered and relied on the omnipotence of God. Here in Nididhyasana, what Acharya Shankara and the Jnana Marga wants us to do is to primarily hold one statement that is mentioned in the verses that are being meditated on now, and hold it without break. Ajyadharaya srotasa samam sarala chintanam viralata param. Till all the in the Jnana Marga, except the statement held, all other proclivities, all other vasanas have been erased. So now there is only the meditator and the object of reverential meditation, the statements like Tattvamasi or the verses of Ulladu Narpadu or the verses of Anma bodham, which one loves, could be the object held as meditation. Where is it taking us? It is taking us to the erasing of the ego indirectly. By holding on to the one object, the ego who is holding it loses its separate nature or gets merged in the japa, and the japa becomes akanda akara vritti. So in Bhagavan, what is this akanda akara vritti? Let us see a little bit before we go into the verses for the day. What is this akanda akara vritti? The anubhava which is, so to say, aimed at by nididhyasana, by the dhyana. The anubhava is akanda akara vritti, that only the Brahman is there as kevalam brahmamatram is the shining. Now, what is this that is shining according to Bhagavan? It is called as spurana. The aham, kevalam brahmamatram, aham iti sakshat atma rupena bhati. Though it is the paravastu, though it is completely filling the outside, it has to be felt within first. The I has to be felt within. And when holding the I is done and the inside and outside are erased, the same inside which was felt as I, the infinite I, it is alone the outside also. Both inside and outside, there is only this Purana. But what is this Purana? During this week, we had begun the reading in the morning satsang of day by day with Bhagwan. And in the second day or so, Venkatesh ji had read for us, what is this Spurana? Devaraj Mudaliar, the author, asks Bhagwan. So I'll read it for us, and then we will take the verses for the day. What is this Spurana? This Spurana is the Atma bodham, is the Atma jnana. Let us keep it like that for now and see where the account of Devaraj Mudaliar takes us. This is, we should keep in mind, this is in March 1945. So, understanding our weaknesses, Bhagavan has put it in the best possible way for us, as Akka would say, like feeding, the mother feeds to the child. Bhagavan tells us about Spurana in the most lucid form that can be read anywhere. So this paragraph from page 5, I am reading. Devaraj Mudaliar writes, I was reading Vichara Sangraha, Self-Enquiry. I came across this statement that something in the heart, நான் என்று ஸ்புரித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறது. Something is shining or sounding as I in the heart. I have always had doubt what exactly the word Spurana means. So I asked Bhagavan, and he said, it means விளங்குவது, விளக்குவது. That means, it means that which shines, விளங்குவது, that which illuminates, விளக்குவது. This Purana can be seen as something that shines, self-luminous, or it is that which illuminates everything. I asked, is it not a sound we hear? Can we not see it as a sound? Should we see it as the light only? Bhagavan, yes, we may say it is a sound we feel or become aware of. So if the sadhana has begun with sound, we may take that it is obviously not the sound heard through the senses. Hardly that. So it is a sound which is felt. Bhagavan says, yes, we may say it is a sound we feel or become aware of. He also referred to the dictionary and said, the word means throbbing. Spurana means throbbing, springing on the memory, flashing across the mind. These also could be taken as the meaning of Spurana. Thus, both sound and light may be implied in the word Spurana. Bhagavan says, everything has come from light and sound. It is not the light seen by the eye or sound heard by the ear. It is far more sukshma than that. Bhagavan continues. I asked Bhagavan, what is it that shines? Here comes the Atma bodham part. What is it that shines? Whether it is the ego or the self. Whether it is the ego or the Atman. He said it was neither the one nor the other. It is neither the ego nor the self, but something in between the two. That is, something which is a combination of I, the self, and the I thought, the ego, and the self is without even this spurana. The final experience of the self is without even this spurana. The akandakara vritti also has to vanish in silence into the anubhavi. So finally, who is experiencing this spurana? The question will come, and one remains still. The spurana also quietens down. The interesting part is to take spurana as the Ishvara Shakti. As we identify with the sadhaka and come near the erasing of our vasanas, we start feeling this spurana. There we are still having lot of load, lot of vasanas, and the spurana burns all our vasanas. I am the body identity is burnt by the spurana. Spurana is of a dimension different from the triad of seer, seeing, see. It is ekam, but it is shining. It is self-luminous. It is a Shakti. So it has the power to erase our I am the body idea. But if you hold it and be still, Bhagavan says in the Vichara Sangraham, then like fire lit on camphor, this Purana also will quieten down. The moment you start identifying with the self, you will start understanding that Ishvara Shakti is also transcended by asking who is feeling this Purana. That is as far as what is this Purana made of? It is neither the ego nor the self, but something in between. This Purana can stand alone by itself. The triad cannot. So from the triad when we go, we have to experience this Purana, the Ishvara Shakti. Then only the toll being paid, one is allowed into the heart or the self. But then the matters are made even clearer, because what do we say in the beginning of meditation? With Bhagavan's immense grace, we are meditating on the verses of Atma bodham. Bhagavan is the Ishvara. So what is the connection between Jiva, Ishvara and the self? Bhagavan explains. So this is something very key which will help in our sadhana, because we are combining bhakti and jnana. We are not afraid as bhaktas to talk of the self. As jnana vicharis, we don't ignore the help, the grace of God. So coming from that Bhagavan's unique position, which is a bridge to bhakti and jnana, Bhagavan here clarifies as to what is this relationship between the jiva, Ishvara and the self. Explaining on how the self is mere light and how it is both the word or sound and also that out of which word or sound originally came. Bhagavan said, man has three bodies. The gross one made of the five elements, the sukshma or subtle one made of manas and prana, and the jiva. And the jiva. When one is ignorant of the jiva, that's called ignorance. When one is aware of the jiva, one is able to proceed further into the enquiry. Who am I? Takes us further into the maya and then beyond the self. But what is the individual made of? The jiva is made of gross body, made of five elements, subtle body made of mind and prana, and the jiva, I. Similarly, even the Ishvara has three bodies. Please pay attention here. This is the bridge between what we are practicing, bhakti and jnana, together. Surrender on the outside, vichara on the inside. Similarly, even the Ishvara has three bodies. All the manifested universe is his gross body. So time space, waking state, dream, deep sleep, all these form the body of Ishvara. Light and sound are his Sukshma Sharira. What was earlier said? Light and sound put together is Purana. So when we come to Spurana, we are experiencing the Sukshma Sharira of Ishvara. When we are coming to Spurana, we are experiencing Ishvara. So when we are going beyond Spurana, we are going beyond the Sukshma Sharira of Ishvara, having identified with it, not ask anything from Ishvara's mind. We agree with whatever is destined by the Ishvara's mind to happen in its manifested body. That is the body of Ishvara. So we don't question as to what is happening there. We go experience this Purana, de-link our I am the body idea, and then we are allowed darshan of the self, knowledge of the self, being the self. So there the nididhyasana of Atma bodham comes to an end. This part, which is in page 5 of Day by Day, I feel all of us can write down, have it as meditation, where Bhagavan has clarified as to how the Jiva has gross body, subtle body, and the Jiva. Ishvara also has the whole creation. In Ullad Narpadu, we can recall Irattaigal Mukkodigal Endrum Ondru Patri. The dualities and triads hold one. What is that? Obviously, it is not the Jiva which has the source of dualities and triads. That's why I used to call that segment as the segment on Ishvara. Ondru Patri. What is that? They all hold the Sukshma Sharira of Ishvara and arise. The Sukshma Sharira of Ishvara being I, the Spurana. But then that is not still the Atma Swarupa. One has to hold the Sukshma Sharira of Ishvara, Mayaham. Mayaham Nadayam Tattadindenarul Arunachala. That is the true self, he says in Aksharamanamali. But then one has to hold the Sukshma Sharira of Ishvara, keep quiet or continue the inquiry. Then one realizes one's nature as the self. This is the complete understanding of Bhakti and Jnana. The Manana being complete, one has to do the Shraddha, that this is what I am going to follow. And then practice the Nididhyasana, which for us is not going to be the meditation of the verses alone. We may recall some of the verses, but our Nididhyasana is going to be the practice of Atma Vicharam. Because Bhagavan says, Adani endru Ammaraigal Arthidavum Tannai Eduvendru Than Therdiradu Adunan Idu Andru என்று எண்ணல் உரன் இன்மையினால் என்றும் அதுவே தானாய் அமர்வதால். That means the moment the Vedas say, through the Vedanta, through the Upanishads, they say, Aduni, Tattvamasi. Once they say that, immediately one should have that strength of mind. Because who am I? Aduni anta, that Aduni has been told that thou art. But then who am I? Immediate inquiry should start till the Atman is reached. Instead of that, to do Nididhyasana as a dhyana, to repeat that Aham Brahmasmi is Uran Ninmayina, says, is because strength of mind is not there, says Bhagavan. So our Nididhyasana is going to be practice of Atma Vicharam. But then now we go into the verses for the day. The Nididhyasana verses, perhaps we can go through a little bit at faster pace, because here, just as in Ullad Narpadu, some of these verses or even a word may appeal to you, and that may keep coming back to you to hold and remember Atma Vicharam. For instance, there could be Agayam Pola Agilathin Ulveliya. This Ulveli, just like this space, the self is permeating within and outside. Now, we have these skits, and many a time we use the concept of this space as to somebody is going out in search of Akasa. Since it's everywhere, it is within you also. So living here, the skit is very beautifully laid out that the people start searching in various places for Akasha when it is permeating inside and outside. So what is this inside and outside? That may be something that may haunt you. So, and that may make you remember, let me see what this is and let me continue my enquiries. So the Nididhyasana verses, it may come as a whole verse as liking for you, like some of the verses of Ullada Narpada have been for me, or some concept even which may rise up. The Acharya is going to put many concepts before us about the Parabrahma. One of them or two of them or three may be to your great liking, and then they may come on their own and make you remember Atma Vicharam. We really don't know, but we'll have to go through the verses and learn them and see what kind of Nididhyasana comes through. But for me, the Nididhyasana has been that the verses of Ulladanarpadu have helped a lot, especially verse number 4, where Uruvam Tanayin, that verse used to come again and again to make me remember only if I have a form, the problem has a form. So I used to immediately start enquiry. If I am remembering, should I have gone, should I have not done, should I have done? If a doubt comes, that is a problem. But then Uruvam Danayin, only if the ego has a form, the problem has a form. So that Uruvam Danayin will come and the problem will be dissolved along with the ego, though with Bhavabala. So Nididhyasana could happen like that from these verses to any one of us. Let us go into these verses. 35 onwards. Let's see how much we can take on. ஆகாயம் போல அகிலத்தின் உள்வெளியான் சாகாதான் சர்வசமன் சித்தன் தேகாதி யாவற்றும் பற்றற்றான் என்றும் அமலன் சலியான் அவனான் என்றே அறி அவனான் என்றே அறி. Who am I? I am all this. அவனான் என்றே அறி. That is going to be the refrain. Who is the sadhaka? The sadhaka is not a jiva caught up in the miseries of the earth, miseries of samsara, but agayam pola, like the sky, like the space, agilathin ulveli, both inside and outside objects, the akasam is there. That is why inside this also space is there. The space is of subtle nature, but it does not get attached to any of these objects. It is present inside and outside. When this inside and outside is there, what is that place to be? We may be intrigued. Ulveliya. See, either inside is there, outside is there. But, and many a time when we are feeling in sadhana, we are feeling there is some discontent or something to be done, we will ullad, we will go in, as Bhagavan says, and many a time we would have experienced calmness, stillness, quietness, all that in going in. But what is this ulveli, where both inside and outside is there? That in a discussion with Gunaji, Bhagavan says, Gunaji, after long years of practice, is a lawyer from Pune, I think. He is one of the biographers of Shirdi Sai Baba. He practices Atma Vicharam, having taken Upadesham from Bhagavan in the late 30s. And this dialogue happens in the late 40s during the Kumbhabhishekam of Madhurabhuteshwara temple. And the sadhaka, the great one, Gunaji, he is asking Bhagavan, I have been going inside and I have been able to be there for some time. But then again my mind comes out. How to abide there? How to abide in the inside? Then Bhagavan says, Bhagavan gives a laugh. Bhagavan laughs and says, See, only so far as a body identity is there, the inside and outside are there. The moment the body identities are erased in sadhana, these two concepts of inside and outside will go, and mind cannot be there. The mind stands destroyed. When the mind stands destroyed, how can we know it? That place where there is no inside and outside, how can we know that place? Therefore, one of the ways in which nididhyasana could be done is to make the mind come to the point of not knowing and clearly understand why it cannot know. It cannot know because it can operate in this duality. The mind can know either inside or outside. But where there is no inside and outside, that duality is not there, how can the mind know that? So that is an indirect way of stilling given in nididhyasana. This morning, I think Vidyaji and I, we were discussing about a statement in the Vedas that the jnani sees abeda in Veda or something like that. Objective statement that sees abeda in Veda. What is that? No, abeda in Veda, Lakshman Sharma ji says, it is in fact, that is not a proper statement at all. It only means that the jnani does not see any Veda at all. Other than the self, he does not see anything. But even as a nididhyasana statement, as an objective statement, we can take it that is only to bring the mind to clarity of the mind cannot know that. The mind cannot know that, and consciousness should know that the mind cannot be used to measure that abeda sthiti. So the most of the nididhyasana verses could be used like this, that the mind cannot go there, so I should remove all the thoughts. The mind cannot go there, so thoughts cannot measure this place. This is one such place where agayam pola akilattin ulveliyal sagadan. Now what is this sagadan? In Zen Buddhism, they say there is this cone where they give statements where the mind cannot go. One of the statements that they make is to ask, what was your face before you were born? What was your face before you were born, they ask. And obviously the mind may struggle, but how can it know? Sagadan, when Pirapillan, Sagadan. Sagadan, Sarvasaman Chittan. Sarvasaman is one in all, or there is this oneness in him. Siddhan, in the world of time and space, something can be made into siddhate, can be brought into siddhate. But it is always siddham. Siddhamai ulpurulai தேர்ந்திருத்தல் சித்தி பிற சித்தியெல்லாம் சொப்பனமார் சித்திகளே. Siddhamai ulla porul. This is always siddham, always ready, in an ever ready state. The self is ever self-luminous. So siddhamai. Siddham. Any one of these words could be your word of nididhyasana. You may hold it and practice. Practice being still. Dehadi yavatrum patratra. What is the nature of the Atman? There is no attachment to the body. When in the Atman, there is no seeing, there is no breathing, there is no tasting, there is no smelling. There is none of these senses can even see an emotion. Can we see an emotion through these eyes? So even one layer inside an emotion, like a joy or a pleasurable thing or something that is enjoyable or a shame, we cannot see with the eye. Now, if that is the nature of this measuring instrument, how can it measure the Atman? With an eye that is measuring emotion, that is outer emotion, we cannot see thoughts. The emotions are so gross that the same eye which is experiencing emotion is not subtle enough to see thoughts. How can such an emotionally bound eye observe thoughts, let alone see the self? So these should make us come to Dehadi Yavatru Patratran Endrum Mamala. This is the purest of pure. Self is the purest of pure. There is an exchange between attendant Krishna Swami and Bhagavan. Ashram is known for its cleanliness, spotless cleanliness, and those days also it was so. And Bhagavan, what he does, there is this small puppy which eats some human waste and comes into the hall. And Bhagavan takes out his clean towel and wipes off its face. And Krishna Swami is astounded. He says, Bhagavan, we are known for cleanliness. Until tomorrow your towel will not be wiped. And have you not made it unclean? Are we not breaking the rule? Bhagavan would say, or Krishna Swami says, it's available in YouTube. You can key it in and see. Bhagavan is saying to Krishna Swami, do you think this is the cleanliness I meant? It is the Nirmala Atma. It is the Atma Swarupa. This morning, Venkateshji was reading about a jnani. He actually waits for waste leaves to be thrown in a hall, in a wedding hall, and is having those leftovers there. And Marula Siddha and Allama Prabhu comes from within the hall, and the moment he sees Marula Siddha does namaskara to Allama Prabhu lifts him and embraces him. Because only a jnani can know another jnani, it is said. But then that man, that jnani is actually rolling in waste. But then he is as much amalan as Allama Prabhu in identifying with the self. So amalan, saliyan. Why there will be movement in salip means movement. Why there will be movement when there is only ekam? There is Nikamara Niraindu Nirkum Atma. There is no other. So there is no way in which there could be any salip in the Atma. Avan Nanendre Ari. These are the qualities of the Atma Swarupa. Agayam Pola Agilattu Ulveliyan. Like the space, he permeates inside and outside. He has no birth or death. Sarvasaman, he is one in all places. Siddhan, always ever ready. Siddhamai Ulporul is Atma Swarupa. Dehadi Yavatrum Patratran. The Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and the not knowing also is not attached to by the Atma Swarupa. Endrum Amalan, he is the purest of pure. There is no movement, there is no salipu in him. That is I. That is the Atma Swarupa, Endre Adi. Let's take just one more verse in the 5 minutes remaining, and then we can sit for Atma Ucharam. Yedu Nittam Suddham, Yedu Muktam Ekam, Yeda Kanda Inbu Irandilla, Yedu Sattu Chittanantam Ahum Tigara Parabrahmam Vastu Yan Eyam Madi. Yedu Nittam Suddham, Yedu Muktam Ekam, Yedu Kanda Inbu, Yedu Akanda Inbu Irandilla, Yedu Sattu Chittanantam Ahum Tigara Parabrahma Vastu Yaneyam Madi. Yedu Nittam. So next, taking the time. We have meditated on this. Nityam in Atma context means the timeless. The Nityam is mentioned only as a reference to the dream. Since we are all in this dream where there is value for dream time and dream space, since the jiva is caught up in this dream where dream time and dream space seem to have some use and value, the Acharya uses the word Nityam. It is always. The Atma Swarupa is always. In reality, in practice, what it means? It is beyond time. It is timeless in time, as the biography is appropriately named from Ramanacentre Center for Learning. The timeless in time is the Atma Swarupa. Yadu Nityam Suddham. Suddham we have already seen. Yadu Muktam. It is the meaning of Irapilladu. Where there is no bondage, where there is no birth, there is no death. Where there is no bondage, there is ever liberation. There is no seeking of liberation. It is ever liberated. Yadu Muktam. Ekam. It is Advitiya Vastu. Yadu Akanta Inbu. This is the real happiness. The Atma Swarupa is the real happiness. That is what Bhagavan says in the introduction to Who Am I? That all of us are seeking the Atma Swarupa only. All jivas are seeking to be happy always without a trace of sorrow. So Nityam Akandam Anandam. Nitya Akanda Anandam is what we are seeking. That is what is Yadu Akanda Inbu. Unbroken happiness. Irandalla Advitiya Vastu. Yadu Sat Chit Anantam. The Sat-Chit and eternal Aham Tigara Parabrahma Vastuya Eyam Mati. That is what I am. So, who is telling to whom? These verses are, I am reading to myself. I am telling to myself that though the Acharya has left those verses, I have to read them to who am I? I am this. I am the Nityam. I am the timeless in time. Suddham. Muktam. I am beyond bondage. I am actually totally ever liberated. Ekam. I am the limitless happiness. In that preamble, Bhagavan says, where the mind is not present in deep sleep, everyone is experiencing the Akanda Inbu. But then since vasanas are there, they are thrown out of it. Since ignorance is there, they are thrown out of that laya. In practice, what one has to do, one has to eliminate the mind and know the Atma Swarupa to gain that unblemished, unalloyed happiness. What one has to do, one has to remove the mind or purge the consciousness of the mind, of the thoughts. Edu Akanda Inbu, Irandal, there in the Atma Swarupa, there is no Dvitiya. Edu Sat Chit Anantam, that is the existence, consciousness. We have seen this Purana, Bhagavan says as light or sound. This Purana is the Sat Chit. Bhagavan says that who is Arunachala? Arunachala is the Sat-Chit, Irundu Olir. In Ashtakam he says, you are the Irundu Olir. So this Purana is Irundu Olirum Vastu. It exists and it shines. That is the Ishvara. We have seen that is the Sukshma Sharira of the Ishvara. We have to hold the Sukshma Sharira of the Ishvara and identify with this Purana and cross over to the self. Yedi Sat-Chit Anantamakum. Tigara Parabrahmam. That Parabrahma Vastu is what I am. This is the Nididhyasana one has to do. But why do objective Nididhyasana? Why hold those objects, those sentences as objects and then continuously meditate? Why not have the strength of mind to ask, who am I? Which Bhagavan gives us as Brahmastram. So let us practice wielding the Brahmastram till 8 o'clock, when we can listen to Akka. When thoughts arise, there is break. There is break in happiness. We are not that. So one has to inquire into who am I. Let go of the thought and ask for whom is this thought? Is for me, hold who am I. Or directly hold the I which Bhagavan calls directly holding the eye, is Summa Iruttal. That is, with Bhava Bala experiencing the Atma Swarupa, experiencing this Purana. That is, directly holding on to Ishvara's Sukshma Sharira as the best prayer possible for all the ills that we could ever encounter. We are having some deep troubles here, there, everywhere in the objective space. What is the best thing we can do? Directly hold God. Bhagavan is giving us a method to directly hold God's Sukshma Sharira or God's mind. How to do that? Even when we don't experience Purana, if you still the eye, then you are going in that direction. Stilling the eye is the best prayer for the sadhaka. When the mauna of the Guru is the highest upadesha that the Guru can give. The mauna of the sadhaka is the best prayer that the sadhaka can make. So the stilling of the eye can be done directly, even without waiting for thought, by directly holding the eye. Let us practice till 8 o'clock. Ujulji will help us out. Thank you.
Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as a self in all beings. And as Nandakumar ji started off today, shining as the manifestation which we call Krishna. And on this sacred day, in 1896, it was just the day before Bhagavan arrived at Arunachala. That year, of course, it was the 31st of August. Now we are a little beyond that, and Bhagavan had arrived at Arunachala on the 1st of September. On the Krishna Janmashtami day, Bhagavan was offered food by that pious couple, Krishna Bhagavatar, and that was with the recognition that he is Sri Krishna. The Naivedya to be done to Sri Krishna, even before Naivedya was done, which is done in the night puja, Bhagavan was offered those sweets by the lady of the house, the sweets which he carried with him right up to Tiruvannamalai. And that is the mood, the understanding. See, when she saw Bhagavan, this young lad, on that day, that lady says or feels intuitively, this is Sri Krishna. So that is the nididhyasana, to understand the presence at all times. And the characteristics are pointed out to us for us to meditate upon. As Nandakumarji told us repeatedly, we may take up any of these characteristics. We may take up a characteristic which says Nitya, that which ever is. So when we meditate on such a characteristic, anything which is impermanent, anything which is changing, is known to be not the self. Then if you take that it is Siddha, it is ever attained, it is already attained. So anything that we seek to attain newly, we will understand that is not the self. So why should we seek to attain anything at all? Because our goal is to be aware, self-aware, to recognize that such a state is the natural sahaja state. That is our goal. And whenever we seek happiness externally, we will remember that this is the source of all happiness. This is the source of everything that we are seeking. So the attention comes back. No matter which of these we meditate upon, we will be taken back to the self. This is not, whatever I am seeing as an object is not I. This will be known to us because it will not measure up to that quality. It will not be of the nature of Nitya. It will not be of the nature of Siddha. It will not be of the nature of Sat. It will not be of the nature of Chit. It will not be Ananta. So, every time we apply any of these characteristics, any of these yardsticks to our experiences, it will take the mind inward. So, these can be used as sadhana. They can also be used as support to self enquiry. Or one may say that these are preambles to self enquiry. When one asks, who am I? Why should one ask, who am I? Because one already recognizes that this body cannot be I. One already recognizes that these thoughts, etc., cannot be I. How would one have recognized this, that the body is not I? By applying any one of these or all of these yardsticks which are given for us for nididhyasana, for practice, for internalizing, for seeing for ourselves, experiencing for ourselves the fact that this is not the truth. When we inquire, who am I? We recognize that we are not the thoughts. We have already recognized we are not the thoughts. That's why we are asking, who am I? We are not giving ourselves any answer in the realm of thoughts. And we are with the question alone, who am I? We are trying to see. We are making an effort to see that which is not in the realm of thought. So this is all this Dididhyasana has already supported our sadhana and brought us to the point of self-inquiry. So any of these sadhanas can be again relied upon or taken as supports whenever we are doing a self-inquiry. We do not know which of these we have personally taken as support to come to self inquiry. So we can go back to those as the support. Automatically, the mind will go to that. In fact, in earlier classes, in other, I think while doing the Anubandham or Ulladu Narpadu, Nandakumar ji has told us, if I remember, that there are many granthis, there are many obstacles to self knowledge. There are many attachments which form obstacles to our being steadily self aware. So these attachments become granthis or knots, which are obstacles. And they may be released. One may get released from these granthis through the nididhyasana. If one is having a granthi or an attachment to any particular aspect which may be gross or subtle, through the nididhyasana, that attachment will get loosened. And thereupon, one can get back to self inquiry. One may use any sadhana as a support to self inquiry, or as my mother Srimati Sulochana Natarajan would say, no matter what sadhana we are doing, even if we are doing nididhyasana on any of this, meditation on any of this, we can use self inquiry as a support for that sadhana. She would say, supposing a person is already doing japa, why don't you tell them that the moment the japa stops or there is a distraction from the japa, when there is a break from the japa, when the sadhana does not seem to be proceeding, then one can ask, who is getting distracted? Who is unable to do japa? And the answer will come, I am only unable to do japa. I am getting distracted. Then, but who is this I? Who am I? We can ask oneself that. She would say, in case we are very keen on doing some other sadhana also, then we can use self inquiry as a support for that sadhana, which would, of course, raise that sadhana to a higher level. Because Nandakumarji also tells that it is better to go to the subtler than to the grosser. It is better to use the subtler as a support to the grosser rather than use the gross as a support to the subtle. So, no matter what sadhana we are doing, no matter what we are paying attention to, we can use self inquiry directly. We can turn to self inquiry for support to our practice. If we are doing nididhyasana on any other concept also, then we can use self inquiry to make us understand the truth of that concept, to experience the truth of that concept. See, so many adjectives are given. We may say Nitya, that which is always there. What is it that is always there? When we start asking, then I, as Sharada, I'm not always there. That means this is not my true nature. Who am I? So we can go back to this. Who am I? We understand is the best nididhyasana. That's what Nandakumar ji told us at the conclusion of today's verses, that the best practice is to ask ourselves, who am I? That includes every one of these conceptual practices and transcends them as well. So, Bhagavan has given us that option to address the Moola Granthi, the source or the root attachment, which the method which he has given us wipes out that root attachment, or the I am the body, the very I am the body idea is wiped out. But as we have been given these supports in tradition, Bhagavan is also revealing to us what these supports are, and this also is encouraged by him in the sense that he tells us, find out what is it that gives the real happiness. You're only searching for happiness. You understand you're only searching for happiness. That becomes a support in our sadhana. So all these become supports for our sadhana. But the moment we take any support by Bhagavan's grace, we can also understand, okay, I am using this support. I am doing meditation on this concept. But why am I doing meditation on this concept? What is the purpose of my meditation on this concept? The purpose of my meditation on this or any other concept is to be self aware. So, who is it who is meditating on this? Who is it who is having this goal to become self aware? Who am I? So, by Bhagavan's grace, we can take it back to self inquiry. Just as we use the method of Pranarodhana also, Bhagavan says we can use that method as well. The control of breath, he has said, can control the mind. Similarly, if the mind is very agitated, if it is seeking something, we can tell ourselves, use any of these concepts as a bridge back to our self inquiry, which in turn will take us directly into the self, the Aham Spurana, because about which Bhagavan himself has clarified and which was read out to us, which was explained to us today, as he has told Devraj Mudaliar. The very clarity about the Spurana has been given to us. So we can do Nididhyasana directly on the nature of the I thought in all its purity, which is the Aham Spurana. We can try to hold the Aham Spurana directly, and that has all the qualities because self is beyond qualities. So if you look at holding Aham Spurana, all the qualities which have been given today in the verses, they all pertain to the Ahamspurana. So one can hold that directly as was instructed to Gambiram Sheshayar by Bhagavan. One could do that also as Nididhyasana. But the important thing is, as Bhagavan says in his Ekashloki, Atmanishto Bhavatvam. No matter what the practice, it is in order to be steadily self aware, in order to be Hritstale Manaha. So, recognizing and remembering this, one can take the support of whichever the grace throws up to us, whichever the grace brings before us, whichever manana the grace brings before us at that moment as support to our self inquiry and self avoidance. That is how Bhagwan's grace, because Bhagwan says grace operates within and without. And without, it creates the necessary circumstances for us. So that grace, whichever aspects of these are, is brought before us by that grace, let us submit to that and take it forward and remember to get back. It's only a way to get back to the self, get back to self inquiry and self abidance. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri
Namo Ramana. Namo
Namo
Ramana.
Namo Ramana. So much has been covered today.